What up, everybody? Hope you're having a beautiful day today. I cleaned my pepper grinder today, and it made me sneeze. I'm slightly resistant to trying duck eggs, and there's at least a foot of snow outside. We have a blizzard in Wisconsin going on right now. It's crazy, but I got some clips for you, so let's get into it.
This startup just got approval to launch a giant mirror into space that would beam sunlight on Earth at nighttime, and they actually want to put 50,000 of them up in our sky. So
Selling the sunlight. Sounds like a great idea, doesn't it?
this California startup that's called Reflect Orbital just filed with the FCC to launch a satellite with a 60-foot mirror that unfolds in space, catches sunlight, and then reflects it back down to Earth at night. The beam itself would be able to light up a 3-mile wide patch of ground at up to 4 times the brightness of a full moon, and they're calling it Sunlight on Demand. Dude, the first one is planned to launch in April, so it's happening soon. Now this is where the entire thing gets insane, because this isn't just a one-time experiment. They plan to deploy 50,000 of these mirrors by 2035. This would be enough of them to create near daylight conditions anywhere on Earth at any hour that they...
How much crap is in outer space at this point? How much just junk is floating around if space exists, or if it's just not balloons and stuff like that? And, you know, you could probably float up a nice big reflective, something like that too, in the same way. Wouldn't have to be a satellite, right? You know, I don't know how this stuff works.
They want to. They actually want to sell it to solar farms so that they can generate power at nighttime, and then to cities that want lit streets without electricity, and to disaster zones that need instant light. Scientists are losing their minds over this, and biologists are currently warning that this would destroy animal migrations, breeding cycles, and hibernation patterns. They want to sell our own...
Don't worry about the animals. Who cares?
Sunlight, and literally nobody voted for it.
What a terrible idea that is. Can we stop effing around with that stuff? Like, what are we doing changing the sun and stuff like that? Get out of here. Stop it. You know, stop it. Can we not do that, please?
Numerology. Numerology is a mystical practice that involves studying the significance of numbers and their influence on human life and events. This ancient form of divination believes that numbers hold a symbolic and energetic meaning, which can...
How do you guys feel about numerology? Do you think there's any truth to it? There's like different kinds of numerology from different people, I think. Let me ask. Let's see here. How many different types of numerologies are there?
There's quite a variety depending on how broadly you define numerology. The big ones are Western, often called Pythagorean, which assigns numbers based on letters. Then there's Chaldean numerology, which is older and uses a different number-to-letter system. Kabbalistic numerology, rooted in Hebrew mysticism, finds meaning in the Hebrew alphabet. Then there's Chinese numerology, where numbers have strong cultural associations. Indian numerology, or Vedic numerology, is based on ancient Vedic traditions. And there are more niche approaches out there too. But those are the big ones.
Do they have much overlap?
There's definitely some overlap in the broad idea that numbers reflect meaning, whether it's personality, life patterns, or cosmic influences. But each system uses different methods to arrive at those meanings. For instance, Western numerology is rooted in the alphabet, while Chinese numerology is steeped in cultural luck. Chaldean and Vedic systems incorporate more spiritual or astrological angles. So while the core idea, numbers carry meaning, is shared, the interpretations and the paths to get there vary a lot.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
Can reveal insights into a person's character, destiny, and life path. The origins of numerology can be traced back to several ancient civilizations. The earliest known records come from Babylon and Egypt, where numbers were believed to possess magical properties. However, numerology as we know it today is largely attributed to the teachings of the Greek philosopher Pythagoras, who lived in the 6th century BCE. Pythagoras and his followers believed that numbers were the fundamental building blocks of the universe and that they held deep, mystical significance. The basic concept of numerology is that everything in the universe vibrates at its own frequency, and numbers are a way to understand these vibrations. Each number from 1 to 9, as well as master numbers like 11 and 22, is associated with specific traits, energies, and meanings. By analyzing these numbers, numerologists believe they can uncover hidden truths and provide guidance. Examples of numerological practices include life path number. This is one of the most important numbers in numerology and is derived from a person's birth date. It represents the individual's core personality, life purpose, and the lessons they need to learn in this lifetime. To calculate the life path number, you add together all the digits of the birth date until you reach a single digit or a master number. Name numerology. Numerologists also analyze the letters in a person's name, converting each letter to its corresponding number using a numerology chart. The resulting numbers are then added together to reveal insights into the individual's character and destiny. Today, numerology continues to be a popular practice among those interested in spiritual and personal development. People consult numerologists for insights into their life path, career choices, relationships, and personal growth.
I thought that one was fun. I don't know about this stuff, but it's pretty weird. And I don't know if you've ever looked yours up. Have you ever done? You could just ask. You can do whatever. Yeah, I asked ChatGPT about it because it's easiest to do that way. But there's all these different ways that it says that you can. It's got the Pythagorean and whatever, all the different systems of numerology. That's what I don't understand about a lot of these things. So then I thought, there's 13 lunar cycles, but we have 12 months. Are there 13 months, months? And then so which system are we going on? Did we lose 1,000 years? Did the Middle Ages exist? So are we counting that? What day is it really? Are we going by what calendar are we going by? So is this even my birth date? Is this even the right thing? Or, I guess the best thing is that it's lined up with planets. So maybe the most accurate one is the ones that have to do with, planet alignments and stuff like that. But what did it say here? It's funny. It says, I guess a bunch of different stuff here. Let's say I don't know if you guys even have any interest in this stuff at all. I'm just, I had a life path number is 33. I'm a master teacher archetype, strong sense of responsibility, service oriented, ability to influence or uplift large groups, creative communicator, often drawn to teaching, healing, guiding, or inspiring. The 6 influences underneath adds, it's a 33-6 is my life path. 6 adds empathy, responsibility, artistic sensitivity, desire to improve people's lives, potential challenges, carries too much responsibility, feeling obligated to help everyone, emotional burnout. But that stuff seems accurate. But at the same time, how many of you guys thought that was you as well? Could that just be you too? I mean, how much of this is like a drug commercial where they're like, are you feeling, slightly tired, a little bit hungry, kind of anxious? Try this drug. We've all been a little tired, hungry, and anxious, So I don't know if I ever am leaning into this stuff. I kind of look at what other people's would be and see if I relate to theirs, but I don't always relate as much as the ones to mine. It's kind of interesting. What else does it say here? It's got what was the number 2? 2, expression number derived from the full birth name. I got 6, meaning natural teacher, creative communicator, strong aesthetic sense, desire to guide or mentor, drawn to music, art, education, media, or counseling. So I teach guitar lessons on the side. I love music, and I always have. Obviously, I have aesthetic taste. Whatever. That's to everyone's own. Whatever. Soul urge uses vowels only, I guess. My soul urge is 4. Desire to build something lasting. Practical mindset. I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. Personal number is 11. So I'm intuitive, intense, insightful, unconventional thinker, someone who asks deeper questions. I mean, that's true. I got this channel, Chris Gets Curious, where that's what I do is I share the things that I'm curious about with you guys. So I don't know. Simple summary. I'm a communicator, educator, curiosity-driven thinker, creative teacher, builder of ideas into real projects. People with this pattern often gravitate towards media, teaching, research, philosophy, storytelling, explaining unusual or complex topics, which is this. This is what I'm doing now. So I don't know. All the stuff is weird. That's a little bit about some of it. I don't want to go too deep into it and bore your mind out with that stuff, but more about the idea of numerology is so fascinating, I think. in general. But also when I looked, it said that Chris Gets Curious is also the channel name number would be 7, which is investigation, curiosity, mysteries, research, hidden knowledge, whatever. The same kind of stuff that I'm doing on this channel. So it's real weird. I don't know if ChatGPT is just, trying to boost my ego here a little bit, probably make me feel a little bit flattered so I can flat my lips to you guys a little bit. But there you go,
What if I told you that the Civil War was really the Indian War? And what if I told you that the Civil War wasn't about slavery like they lied to us in school, but it was really about their land, the indigenous land, and the elimination of the original people of this land? Let's make it make sense with facts, not feelings, okay? In 1830, 31 years before the Civil War, the U.S. government passed the Indian Removal Act, which was signed by Andrew Jackson. That wasn't policy, that was war. A government-backed operation to remove Aboriginal people from their own land. We're talking the Choctaws, Chickasaws, Creek, Seminoles, Cherokee, and many more. These folks stole over 25 million acres in the South alone. And that was only the beginning of the Civil War, before they renamed it.
Dude, I think there was something going on in the past with the Civil War. It's so weird that we have no pictures of the battles themselves, yet cameras were around. We have plenty of pictures of other things. We have weird pictures of them picking up skulls and bodies and stuff like skulls, what happened? How long were they out there? What are you talking about cleaning it up? How late afterwards? How long was it? It's kind of weird. But there's no pictures of battle, I'm pretty sure. And what was I going to say about that? I was going to say that I think that Native Americans probably did live in teepees and stuff like that in tribes, but I think that was some of them. And I don't think all of them lived like that. I don't even know if I should say this. This is that would be that would be the people living in West Virginia, up in the mountains or whatever, mountain people or some crazy stuff. And we were just to say that all Americans are like that. It's no, that's not it. We're not all hillbilly folk or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? That was the Native American hillbilly folk, in my opinion. They probably had societies and were whatever. Those were just the outskirts people of different types of, I don't know. That's my thought. I don't even know about that, but it's interesting.
And boom, in 1861, the Civil War starts. But what land were they fighting over? The same land stolen from our indigenous ancestors. They call it the Union versus the Confederacy. But the real fight was about who would control the Indian Territory. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Do your own personal research. The Union and the Confederacy both signed treaties with indigenous tribes because this war was about territory. In particular, this territory. But here's the kicker. After the war ended in 1865, the U.S. government signed the Treaty of 1866 to force indigenous nations to give up even more land and power. Why would there be a treaty with indigenous tribes after the Civil War unless the tribes were involved in the war? Because it was always the Indian War. They just rewrote the title.
His lighting isn't the best on this video, but no, it's so weird. I don't know what. Let's look into the Civil War a little bit. Let's ask ChatGPT. Yo, ChatGPT. Do we have any pictures of any battles actually being fought in the Civil War? Any battle pictures, or just pictures of people standing around afterwards? They look staged.
So Civil War photography had some serious limitations. The cameras back then needed long exposure times, which made capturing live battle action nearly impossible. What we mostly have are photos of the aftermath, troops standing, battlefield landscapes, even casualties, but no actual action shots. So if it feels staged or posed, that's because it usually was. Reality was just too fast for those old cameras.
Oh, shucks. How long did those cameras usually take to take a picture?
They typically needed several seconds, sometimes even 10 to 20 of absolute stillness. For a portrait, that's manageable. For a battlefield, no chance. If someone moved, they'd be a blur. That's why action shots were out of the question with the tech they had.
Can you show me some pictures of non-action shots where they're still shooting at each other?
I can't show real-time combat from that era because none were captured. But if you're curious, I can describe or help you find famous Civil War aftermath photos, like Matthew Brady's battle.
Isn't that crazy, though, that there's no actual battle photos of any of them? Just like nothing, not one, dude? That's stupid. That's weird. I don't really get that, to be honest. I think that's pretty odd. I do think that there was some reset. Also, we just came to this country and we're already fighting. It didn't take that long. Like, come on. Fight. This war, that war. We're mad about the tea. We're mad about this. We didn't want them to tax for a little bit, and now we get just, the inflation goes up 100% over the last decade, and we just, are like, oh, well, I gotta go. We can't do shit about it anyways. What are you gonna do about it? You can't do anything, and they just lock you up. I mean, what the fuck?
The fireplaces of the old world, never seen a piece of wood in them. Clues have been there all along. You just had to look closer. All these heaters with no flues. So easy to hide things in plain sight. Look at that symbol. That symbol looks quite familiar, doesn't it? They tell us that symbol for radiation was just a doodle. But look at those symbols on some of these heaters from the old world. Not to mention the fireplaces. You would never burn wood in these. They're not made for wood. It's the same reason why the mainstream historians can't figure out or explain how they were able to heat these castles in medieval times. It's because they weren't using wood. It's the reason why the only thing we hear about radium is the radium girls.
So that is interesting. I did a video of the Hearthstone, named something else. I forget what I named it at this point. It was earlier on. And I did take some pictures of that, and I do have some pictures of, this is the Hearthstone, and I do have some pictures of the fireplaces that were in the Hearthstone. It was called the Hearthstone because of the fireplaces or something like that too. There was 9 of them apparently in here. I didn't get to take a picture of every one of them. This is a beautiful house in Appleton, Wisconsin, the very first house with electric light bulbs. So the first house, this is where the term they say turn on the lights come from, because there's literally handles that you have to quite literally turn on. So that's pretty fascinating. So we just forget that these come from somewhere, or somebody made up the story that they came from them at this point. And I get to say that, and then I tell you guys about it. Here's one of the fireplaces. Doesn't look like you would burn wood in that thing. It's very shallow, and it didn't look dark around any of the, wood. It didn't look like it was ever used for wood. Another one here, very beautiful. Looks like it would totally catch fire with all the wood just surrounding it and everything else. Just doesn't look like it was made for wood. Very shallow, bad design for wood. There's another one that would look like it would absolutely go up in flames, especially if you're putting all that shit on top of it. What a stupid idea for a fireplace if you're putting wood in there. Not good. That's that same fireplace. They had some such beautiful designs. It would be covered in, soot. Look at this stupid tray they give us there. This one too, another just beautiful place. You would not do that. You would not have the fire heat right there, right against your back too. Oh, like what? It's so close. I never really thought about that too. I guess it's not terrible, but weird nonetheless. Doesn't look like something you'd want to burn wood in. That same fireplace. And that's the end of the slideshow.
More stupid to read this book literally and see what all in 7 days the walls fell down. Do you know what 7 days the walls fell down means? 7 days the walls fell down means you mounted the 7 chakras, which is the energy from the base of the spine to the pineal gland, and it caused the wall between the left side and the right side to fall down, and you went in and took the promised land. That's what it means. But what do we say? He marched around the wall 7 times, and the walls fell down. Do you know that there are people in churches now that get up in these churches and they march around the church? The only problem is the walls don't fall down. If it did, it would end all of that cockamamie stuff. I told Joan and Alvira once when we were into that stuff, Lorraine Porter bought a new car. We were going to bless it. You know what we did? We walked around the car 7 times. Al said he only went 6 because he was afraid it was going to fall down if he went around 7 times. Remember that? This is mysticism. This is code. This is a code book. You've heard of international Morse code. This is celestial Morse code. There is only one group of people on the face of the earth that takes this stuff literally, and that's the ones that live in this country. Because they come out of the Dark Ages. And they read this stuff literally. A guy got on a boat, Joe, with 2 of every animal in the world. And the boat floated. And he was floating, too, inside and out. That boat had to be. Look. What's it mean? You build the ark. When the storm comes, you enter the ark. This is the ark. You go into the ark, and as the storm is raging, it says they had one window they put in the ark. In here, up above in the ceiling. Why? So that you looked up, and you didn't look down at your problems. You looked up. And what happened to the ark? The storm that tried to destroy you lifts you up higher and higher, puts you on the mountaintop, and you step out on it. It's psychology.
How do you guys feel about like that kind of like interpretation, or what do you? I don't know how many of you guys are religious, or what you think about some of those ideas and things like that, or do you think it's a combination of the both when it comes to that sort of interpretation of the Bible? Is it literal? Is it numerology? Some people say you can't understand it without numerology too, of different sorts, and like the stories about the Ark, there's so many different interpretations of that. They say, Mount Ararat was a place where they found the Ark already, and there's like evidence of the Ark existing physically in some spots. There's also the idea that the Ark was not just, they did 2 of every animal, but maybe it was like DNA, or so they didn't actually have an ark with the animals, but they had the DNA of all the animals inside something, too. That could be some idea. Or maybe like his interpretation that we are, the ark is inside of us and stuff like that too. There's so many interpretations of it. And even, knowing like it wasn't too long ago until I finally bought myself a Bible, which I'm starting to read only, a couple pages in. I'm reading the King James version. I don't know what version to even pick. I was raised Catholic, and I think that stuff's pretty wild. And I don't really even understand the whole Catholic thing. They tried to teach me, but I don't think I really soaked it in quite right. So I'm just trying to understand it all, and I'm like, well, I can't understand any of it unless I give at least one of the versions a try or do something, and then I could say something about it. Oh, I liked it, or I didn't like it, or whatever the case is. At least I could formulate opinions since I've looked at it myself instead of just watching other people tell me their interpretations of what it is, So you just got to see. And then, I was almost intimidated in some ways for some reason about the Bible or something. It's so weird. But, I've read the Tao Te Ching, and that's like the second most published book after the Bible, and that was not intimidating at all. And maybe, I don't know, because I didn't have that stigma attached to the Bible or what it means, or am I supposed to know everything about it, and once I read it, I couldn't deny it or something, or I don't know what the deal is exactly. It's kind of interesting, and there's just so many interpretations of that stuff, and I just don't really know I'm curious about it, and I'm trying to figure out my own interpretations, but I need to have some more experience with that stuff too, especially when it comes to reading the Bible, I guess. But that's all the crazy videos I got for you today. If you like this video, like and subscribe. And other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a lovely day.